Hi everyone. This week we are going to see 17th and 18th century art in Europe. After the Renaissance, there were two major art movements. One is the Baroque and the other one is Rococo. The period of 17th and 18th century in Europe is called the Age of Kings. Some of the most powerful rulers in history occupied the thrones of various countries during this time. This same period could equally be called the age of colonial settlement. The Spanish, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the English, and the French had established permanent settlements in North and South America. The Baroque art was an art movement during turbulent 17th and 18th centuries. Baroque art differs from that of the Renaissance. The Baroque art is full of emotion, energy, and movement. Colors are more vivid in Baroque art than in Renaissance art, with greater contrast between colors and between light and dark. And Baroque art has been called dynamic, sometimes even theatrical. In architecture and sculpture, where the Renaissance sought as classic simplicity, the Baroque favored ornamentation as rich and complex as possible. And let's compare the Renaissance and the Baroque art styles. So let's see architecture style first. The left one is the Renaissance and the right one is the Baroque. So can you find the difference between these two styles? The Renaissance architecture style shows simple, logical, and classical. On the other hand, the Baroque architecture shows ornamentational and sophisticated. And now let's look at the sculptures. The left one is Michelangelo's David Statue in the Renaissance era. And the right one is Gian Lorenzo's Barnini's Saint Teresa in the Baroque era. So of course, these two sculptures are amazingly beautiful and reach the highest technique in fine art. But the first feeling for these two sculptures are totally different. Can you find the difference between these two styles? And Michelangelo's David shows the beauty of balance, and it shows the ideal beauty. And it is very bright to celebrate the hero. And on the other hand, the Baroque sculpture, Saint Teresa, is very dramatic, even theatrical. And it shows heavy light contrast by locating the sculpture in the darkest spot and using a window light on the top of the roof. And that is one of the features of the Baroque art. And let's see the paintings. The left one is Raphael's The School of Athens in the Renaissance era. And the right one is Peter Paul Rubens' The Raising of the Cross in the Baroque era. Can you see the differences? So it's easier to find the compared in the architecture and sculptures. The Raphael's painting is basically following the perspective rule, which means it is very balanced and very logical. And it is calm, peaceful, and bright. On the other hand, Rubens' painting is focused on the subject, not really followed the perspective rule, and it shows deep contrast with bright highlight and very dark shadow. And also the movement is dynamic and the whole painting mood is very emotional. So to conclusion, the Renaissance art shows stillness, logicality, peace and calm, classicism, and brightness. And the Baroque art shows motion, emotion, turbulence, grandeur, and contrast. So now we are going to see two Baroque artists. So the first Baroque artist is Caravaggio. Caravaggio was an Italian painter, and his painting combined a realistic observation of the human state, both physical and emotional, with a dramatic use of lighting. He picked the painful moment with Jesus Christ got the crown. He is one of the most famous Baroque artists. Look at the beautiful light and the beautiful skin texture. He is an amazing artist. Except for the technique, the painting's emotion is also very realistic. So feels like we are in the middle of the painful moment. And this painting is about Saint Thomas checking Jesus' wand with a surprised, profound face. And this is Caravaggio's another biblical episode painting. Judith saved her people by seducing and beheading the Assyrian general Holofernes. The same topic was depicted in the Renaissance era, which is the left painting. And Judith, excuse me, Judith in the left painting looks very peaceful and calm. And it is hard to believe that she is after the battle. She looks even elegant. And on the other hand, Caravaggio's painting is dramatic and dynamic with lots of detailed description. It is capturing the moment of the event. And this is David with the head of Goliath by Caravaggio. The same thing made by different era by Michelangelo. So even though Michelangelo and Caravaggio depicted same David in their work of art, their Davids look totally different. So Michelangelo's David is made as a hero, and he has an idealized body because he is a hero. And on the other hand, the Caravaggio's David doesn't have an ideal body and just depicted as a normal human. And also Caravaggio's shows the moment David took the Goliath's head with unpleasant feeling. And the next artist is Rembrandt. The Rembrandt was a Dutch draftsman, painter, printmaker, And he is generally considered one of the greatest visual artists in the history of art and the most important in Dutch art history. This Rembrandt's largest and most famous painting was made for one of three headquarters of Amsterdam's Civic Guard. These groups of civilian soldiers defended the city from attack. Rembrandt was the first to paint all of the figures in a civic guard in action. And he has an excellent technique to capture a moment like this painting. We can see the wild sea in a storm feels like a rage of the sea. And he was very famous with his self-portrait style, and he settled the traditional portrait manner in terms of pose, light, and manner. And many of artists followed this portrait painting style. And there is a video about Rembrandt, and he is a great artist. The video is in the model room, so please watch it to see his diverse and beautiful work of art. And the next art movement we are going to see is the Rococo. The age of Rococo is a development and extension of the Baroque style. The term Rococo was a play on the word Baroque, but also it refers to the French word for rocks and shells, forms that appeared as decorative motif in architecture, in furniture, and in painting. The Rococo subjects and mood of art is slightly different from the Baroque, even though it is an extension of the Baroque. Like Baroque, Rococo is an extravagant, ornate style, but there are several points of contrast. Baroque was an art of cathedral and palaces. On the other hand, Rococo was more intimate, suitable for the aristocratic home and drawing room. Baroque is large in scale, massive, dramatic, and Rococo has a smaller scale and a light-hearted, playful quality. Let's see the examples. So the left one is the Baroque style architecture, and the right one is the Rococo style architecture. These are all complicated, as we see. But what's the difference? The Baroque style is absolutely dark, but grandeur. But Rococo style is bright, but feminine and sophisticated. And let's see the painting. The left one is the Baroque style painting, and the right one is Rococo styles painting. So these two paintings are well using deep contrast lighting, but seems very different. What's difference? So most of the Baroque art described biblical episode, like the Caravaggio's painting. He described this David story. And as you can see, it looks very serious and it looks very heavy and dark. On the other hand, the Rococo's painting, it depicts daily life and nature of the novels. And it shows light and bright and it looks very lovely. And there is a video about lovely Rococo art in the model room. Please watch it for your understanding. And I hope you understand the different art styles by the art eras through this chapter. Bye.